Every government has their PR division, their imagery, their vibe, whether ultimately successful or not. And famously, throughout history, authoritarians and autocrats had theirs. The Third Reich had their imagery of heroic Hitler posters and white non-Jewish family rearing. The Soviet Union had Stalin doing the same. And also this campaign asking women when they last got their breasts checked. Thanks? And in present day, Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela has super bigote, or super mustache, a cartoon version of himself who in this episode defends women from misogynists for International Women's Day.
Here I am, making sure Venezuelan women are protected.
Acabaré con todos los beneficios que le das a las mujeres del país.
In Venezuela, we respect women.
I love that so much. No wonder Pete Hegseth wants to do regime change in Venezuela. It's gonna be quite a matchup when Super Bigote meets Super Bigot. But ever since Trump has come back into power, or was allowed to by a deeply corrupt Supreme Court and a useless Democratic Party, the regime has been rolling out some of the most unhinged pieces of government propaganda we've ever seen. Now turbocharged by AI, it has been a non-stop fire hose of government slopaganda that relishes in the disappearance of innocent brown people, tries to shore up recruits for ICE, and makes their dear leader seem so muscly and veiny. Now, obviously, all of this is designed to get our attention, to make us mad, to distract us from the real harm in real life that this administration is doing. But I think it's worth understanding what kind of imagery they're using and where it originates, and also understand that this regime, despite claiming to hate nihilism, has the ethos of a sad internet troll, a persona it has both fed into and benefited from for over a decade, and one that is incredibly dangerous. Things are not going great for the Trump administration. Approval ratings are in the toilet, the government is shut down as of this recording, tariffs are imploding inflation, and no one is forgetting about the Epstein files, no matter how many loud flyovers the military does while Epstein victims testify.
This woman abused children.
It almost worked. So close. Good thing there are memes. As the official White House Twitter account posted in July, nowhere in the Constitution does it say we can't post banger memes, with an image of a poster that reads, OMG, did the White House really post this? A cringy wink and a nod to the liberal outrage that MAGA lives on. And let's be fair, they have to live on it because they can't afford homes or healthcare, or food. Thankfully, liberal tears are nutritious and organic. You're welcome. And before we get to the classic memes, we should probably look at the vintage imagery that this regime has been pumping out in order to promote its reign of terror on immigrants and try and recruit drunk t-ball coaches into ICE. It harkens back to a very particular period of time in the United States, some deep cuts when it comes to white nostalgia, beginning with DHS sending out this famous John Gass painting of a white woman drifting west in what's often studied as a stand-in for so-called manifest destiny, the idea that it was the destiny of American settlers to kill indigenous people all the way to the Pacific so that we could build Bakersfield in all of its glory. Native Americans might have given us maize, but Bakersfield gave them corn. DHS tweeted it with the line, a heritage to be proud of, a homeland worth defending. Yeah, and guess what? That heritage ain't Choctaw. That's Applebee's. Whiteness, something that must be defended from those who want to build white people's homes, raise white people's children, and serve white people their food. You know, a threat, I guess. DHS also tweeted out paintings of pioneer life with the line, we are the ones who create. We are the ones who create? Where have I heard that before?
You can build nothing. You can produce nothing. You can create nothing. We are the ones who build. We are the ones who create.
That's right, the Goebbels plagiarist. Look, Steven, building a blanket spanket fort doesn't count as building. This regime is going back. Back to the prairie, back to the hatred of Native Americans, back to the Oregon Trail where you die of measles because your mom believes Instagram posts instead of scientists. DHS has also revived old American propaganda from World War I of Lady Columbia flying on an eagle while leading a pack of warplanes, with the added words, "Join ICE," and a bastardized New Deal cartoon with Uncle Sam at a crossroads, with the line, "Which way, American man?" Now, that phrase might not mean much to you, non-white nationalist, but it is a reference to a book called Which Way, Western Man, written by a white supremacist author, William Gailey Simpson. In the book, Simpson says that discrimination on the basis of race is essential to any race or nation's survival. And yet, here our country is dying, and the only thing that's killing it is the race of billionaires. In response to the clear racist reference, DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin, the junior pre-Mar-a-Lago-faced Kristi Noem, said in a statement to Slate, "Calling everything you dislike Nazi propaganda is tiresome." And I kind of agree with her. Like, this isn't Nazi propaganda. It's American settler propaganda to whitewash its genocide of Native Americans, which, what do you know, actually inspired Adolf Hitler and his policies of expansionism and mass murder. That's why Third Reich propaganda that celebrates the German non-Jewish family sort of looks like this propaganda of white families settling the West. And oh yeah, that was tweeted by DHS with the line, "Remember your homeland's heritage." Yes, remember dying by snake bite, because your mom said it could be cured with a sound bath. Now, maybe that set of memes is for an older generation, to get excited over ICE not having an age cap on recruitment, or as they put it, taking father and son bonding to a whole new level. Yeah, deal with your family trauma, but traumatizing other families. It's beautiful. But to get the youths, MAGA has long tapped into pop culture and internet memes. Trump's 2015 campaign was turbocharged by irony-pilled alt-right subcultures of the internet that lived on places like 4chan, 8chan, and Reddit. Web traffic data from 2016 showed that 8chan was the 9th largest source of referral traffic for Trump's website, clocking in at about 2.3% of all such traffic. This puts it just below Breitbart.com. The campaign especially mobilized angry gamers, which sentient liver spot Steve Bannon understood. He called gamers rootless white males that can be activated like an army. He said they come in through Gamergate and then get turned on to politics and then Trump. Gamergate, remember, was the misogynistic movement in 2014 against female gamers. Okay, memes were laundered up from 4chan or 8chan through Breitbart via Trump's former digital media manager Brad Parscale to give us Trump himself tweeting an image of him as Pepe the Frog. Fun update, Parscale has since taken his digital media skills to a much different client, Israel. Oh, he's a foreign agent now. But how will he pivot his white nationalist posts into Zionist posts? Let's answer that question with a meme. They're the same picture. Now in 2025, the administration is trying to convert the kids that did the Ice Bucket Challenge into adult ICE agents. Adult is, I guess, generous, given what they do. Since January, the White House and DHS's Twitter accounts have been on a cringy posting rampage, a cringe page, if you will, to make its campaign of disappearing immigrants into one sick joke. They've posted a Peter Griffin meme running from a plane to symbolize immigrants running from ICE, an Am I Out of Touch Skinner meme from The Simpsons mocking Senator Schumer, a Peter Parker reading meme to mock Democrats reading a book on how to put America first, a sad Wojak cycle meme about criminal aliens being kidnapped and America becoming safer, and a My Body is a Machine meme saying it turns ICE funding into deportations, which put another way is a machine that turns tax dollars into disappearing taxpayers. Now, here's the thing about memes. They're usually supposed to be funny. None of these memes are remotely funny. Memes are also what children and teens do, which makes you wonder, who's doing them? Let little Noem answer that for you.
Who is posting the DHS memes? Don't we have the best social media in the game? We have 3 great patriots who work around the clock to make sure Americans are getting the information they need. We're debunking the fake news, the lies, and the smears against DHS and our law enforcement. And also, they do a pretty good job of making us laugh once in a while. So we're grateful for them.
Them? Stop playing. 3 people? We all know it's Stephen Miller and a meme generator with one hand on the keyboard and one hand pounding a Mountain Dew Baja Blast, and then pounding something a lot smaller than a Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I've looked into who these people could be, and there's been little reporting on their identities. But there are, however, racist posters who do work for DHS, like Jim Joseph Rodden, a 44-year-old who works as an assistant chief counsel for ICE in Dallas and runs the Twitter account Glomer Responder that regularly tweets things like, "America is a white nation founded by whites. We are the historical and majority population, and it was founded for our benefit. Our country should favor us. And all blacks are foreign to my people. And migrants are all criminals." Real cute stuff. One of Glomar Responder's last tweets hinted that he was currently working with ICE, saying, "Turns out there's a lot of bitch work to be done to make deportations happen." And what better bald bitch to do it than you segregationist lurch. Again, I'm not saying he's behind the memes, but this is the caliber of reactionaries who work at DHS right now, and the caliber of reactionaries who are being recruited by ICE. Just listen to this ICE agent's response to getting trolled by a protester about using photos of them for his spank bank.
I hope they're not for your spank bank, pervert.
Anything in your genetic lineage would be in my spank.
Huh? Say it louder, I can't hear you.
Nothing in your genetic lineage would be in my spank bank is what he said, in case you were wondering if ICE agents were as racist as the memes that recruited them. And let me say, buddy, some other genetic lineage better be in your spank bank, because we've all seen what happens when not enough different genetics make it into a lineage. It looks like Charles II of Spain, a man who was allegedly so inbred, his heart was the size of a peppercorn, his lungs corroded, his intestines rotten and gangrenous, he had a single testicle black as coal, and his head was full of water, and his final words were MAGA. And somehow government memes get even more unhinged and more telling about who they're actually for. There's this deportations flight video that mimics early Nintendo with the line "Game Over," and then this super cool Pokemon intro sequence about catching them all set to images of immigrants being kidnapped. Cool, man. I mean, you do realize this is just the out-of-date chud version of Hillary Clinton's Pokemon Go to the Polls. Estrangement from my family, I choose you! Now, to everyone with half a shred of decency, these seem crass. But see, they're not for you. They're for the putrid hordes of abusive dads who need something to chortle at in between alimony payments. And unlike 2016, now there's AI. And the regime has fully leaned into the role of being an AI slopaganda mill. There's Trump as the Pope that he posted just after Pope Francis died. Trump as a Jedi, but with a red lightsaber, celebrating May the 4th, and Trump with black voters on the campaign trail, arguably the most unbelievable one. Yes, black people love Trump. Now, here's an AI video he posted of the FBI arresting the first black president. And more recently, Trump posted this AI video of Chuck Schumer talking about how everyone hates Democrats, with a sombrero and a mustache on Hakeem Jeffries.
Look, guys, there's no way to sugarcoat it. Nobody likes Democrats anymore. We have no voters left because of all of our woke trans bullshit. Not even black people want to vote for us anymore. Even Latinos hate us.
The only thing remotely funny about that is MAGA claiming black people and Latinos hate Democrats in a video that simultaneously mocks a black person and Latinos. Like, how dumb do they think voters are? I would say read the room, but they can't read. Trump has also used AI to spread misinformation, like this since-deleted video about the QAnon conspiracy of med beds.
Breaking now. President Donald J. Trump has announced a historic new healthcare system, the launch of America's first medbed hospitals and a national medbed card for every citizen.
Every American will soon receive their own medbed card. With it, you'll have guaranteed access to our new hospitals led by the top doctors in the nation, equipped with the most advanced technology in the world.
Look, the most unbelievable part about that video isn't the fantasy that you could get healthy by laying down in a tanning bed, which, trust me, RFK Jr. has tried, but it's how quickly and coherently Trump is speaking. It's a dead giveaway. Have you ever heard him sound smart? I guess he did have, like, that one good idea that one time.
By the way, nice trucks. You think I could hop into one of them and drive it away? I'd love to just drive the hell out of here.
Why didn't he? And DHS has been using AI in its mockery of gross human rights abuses, like these alligators wearing ice hats to promote the detention center Alligator Alcatraz, or Trump as Colonel Kilgore from Apocalypse Now saying, "I love the smell of deportations in the morning" about Chicago, or this Studio Ghibli cartoon interpreting a woman who was arrested by ICE, tears streaming down her face. If it feels beyond the pale or deeply cruel, that is indeed the point. Both in propaganda and in policy, we are living in the very specific nightmare of what happens when a racist online troll becomes president. Someone whose entire political ethos is to not care about the harm they cause so long as someone is laughing. Which is why it's so funny the regime is so quick to act like victims whenever they are protested, as if they're not the ones arresting lawmakers or throwing mothers to the ground. Here's Kristi Noem trying to pep talk her ICE recruits with the idea that they are coming for their families.
So today when we leave here, we're going to go hard. We're going to hammer these guys that are advocating for violence against the American people. What they are doing is advocating to harm not just you and your colleagues, but your families. And they're doxing your identities and victimizing people every day by the way that they're talking, speaking, who they're affiliated with, who they're funded with, and what they're talking about as far as consequences for what we're doing by protecting this country.
Yes, they're doing a lot of talking about it, allegedly, while we're doing the actual violence against people's families. And those things are the same if you huff enough glue. All because a couple agents were doxxed and communities are defending themselves, suddenly ICE is now the victim? DHS is now objectively tweeting beta things like, "The violence and dehumanization of these men and women who are simply enforcing the law must stop." To which user One World Powerful replied, "We are the storm. We are the reckoning. We are also small beans, so please no bully." You don't get to play Karens with crocodile tears while harming people. But again, that is the behavior of fascism, claiming victimhood to justify any and all actions against an unarmed civilian population. The hate memeing of this administration's propaganda style is reminiscent of the white supremacist Nick Fuentes, someone who answers the question, what if a prepubescent mustache started a podcast? Nick began his America First show after attending the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville in 2017, and started what he calls the Groyper Army, a white supremacist online cohort named after this version of the Pepe meme. He very much represents an ethos of shitposting and saying things to get a rise out of people, but also because he believes it. Fuentes talks about the importance of things like humor and memes in which to couch bigotry, so that one has plausible deniability if they're ever called on it.
Use irony because, when it comes to something like Holocaust revision, this is a subject that you cannot deviate from the popular consensus on. But you also can't, I also think you really can't tell the truth if you adhere to that. So it's sort of like getting in the middle. It's being provocative. I can't explain this in a very explicit way. You're going to have to just sort of get what I'm saying here. When it comes to a lot of these issues, you need a little bit of maneuverability that irony gives you. Oh, well, what does that mean? Well, I was being ironic. Well, I was joking. Well, it's whatever. Well, you don't understand the tone. Well, you don't understand humor.
So when a viewer writes in with a coded analogy to deny the Holocaust, Nick jumps in, but then says, I'm an irony guy, just to cover his ass.
Max says, if I take 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies and Cookie Monster has 15 ovens, working 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years, how long does it take Cookie Monster to make 6 million batches of cookies? I don't know. That's a good question. Certainly, oh, no. It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. So 6 million cookies? I don't buy it. That's all irony. I'm an irony bro. That's all irony.
I'm an irony guy. That is actually how I open every stand-up show when I know I'm about to bomb my tits off. It works every time. The irony defense. Trump stooges used to use it a lot back in his first term. Remember? He's just joking.
The president was clearly joking with his comments.
But now that Stephen Miller is the shadow president, they know and we know he is very much not joking, because he doesn't get jokes. That's why the memes suck. In 2022, Nick famously got a meeting with President Trump and Kanye West, the artist who is currently putting out songs titled Heil Hitler. Yeah, Speakers at Nick's America First conference have included Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Representative Paul Gosar, who earned his 8chan gamer cred when he tweeted a video of himself as a Japanese manga character killing Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Gosar then bragged that the video was made in-house and that the creativity of my team is off the hook. Off the hook? It's amazing that racists sneak in language appropriated from people they hate. That's fire, yo. And I know a thing or two about fire. You should see me burn a cross, son. Memes have actually been vital to the recruitment of white nationalists online. The neo-Nazi website, The Daily Stormer, posts an endless scroll of anti-Semitic memes every Monday, calling it Mimetic Mondays. And while a lot of the violence is in cartoon form, online hate has translated more and more to real-world violence. The Christchurch shooter who killed 51 people in 2 mosques in 2019, and who said Trump was a symbol of renewed white identity and common purpose, called on others to create memes, post memes, and spread memes, saying that memes have done more for the ethno-nationalist movement than any manifesto. The El Paso shooter, who was inspired by the Christchurch shooter, posted the coordinates of his attack on 8chan before he killed 23 people. And according to reporting by Robert Evans, there was an obsession to beat the score of how many people were killed in Christchurch. He writes, "What we see here is evidence of the only real innovation 8chan has brought to global terrorism, the gamification of mass violence. We see this not just in the references to high scores, but in the very way the Christchurch shooting was carried out. Brenton Tarrant live-streamed his massacre from a helmet cam in a way that made the shooting look almost exactly like a first-person shooter video game. This was a conscious choice, as was his decision to pick a soundtrack for the spree that would entertain and inspire his viewers." Fun! And now to inspire my viewers, here is Chunk, a 1,200-pound brown bear who just won Alaska's Fat Bear Contest. He has a broken jaw, but he could still catch enough fish to dethrone 128 Grazer, the female fat bear title holder 2 years in a row. Girl, you should have watched The Throne. And more recently, acts of violence don't always have a political goal, but seem more like behaviors of severely brain-rotted people who don't have a specific worldview, but are just posting, doing harm for harm's sake. The Charlie Kirk shooter, who the FBI swears is a hardened leftist, even though he is a Mormon from a family of Republicans and dressed as a Pepe meme for Halloween, was described by one of his former classmates as a Reddit kid.
And the best way I could describe him is just like a Reddit kid. I don't know, I feel like if you were in high school around that same time, and even probably now, like 2018, and then like, you know, those kinds of kids. But that's exactly what he was. All I'm gonna say is this is the kind of shit that happens when you spend way too much time online and all of a sudden your beliefs are all the way this way or all the way this way, and you do some dramatic shit to please these people that are not your friends.
Yeah, the king of groypers who had declared war on Charlie Kirk certainly doesn't love his followers back. He'll even disown them for acting on the vitriol towards Kirk.
I disavow you, I disown you in the strongest possible terms. That is not what we are about.
Now, I'm not saying Tyler Robinson was a groyper necessarily, but it is kind of wild that Fuentes had to say all that. I didn't have to say anything like that to my audience. To my audience, I'd say something like, I know you love Greta, but I just don't think you can pull off the frog bucket hat. Robinson might hold a bunch of different political beliefs, what researchers call composite violent extremists, where extremist ideologies are blurring and young people with very salient personal grievances are increasingly turning to a salad bar of ideologies to explain their anger and hopelessness. Okay, that's all fine and good, but don't bring salad bars into this. The cold hard-boiled eggs aren't their fault, okay? They're your Nana's. She loves them. It's also important to know that the Pepe meme that Tyler dressed up as for Halloween isn't so much left or right, but mostly represents the alienation and hopelessness of many terminally online men, as Aiden etc. explained on TikTok.
But again, like many Pepe or groyper memes, the core of this is a lonely male figure in sort of an immiserated landscape looking sad. And that's part of the story I wish more people were talking about. What's driving our political violence isn't just polarization, it is that feeling, which these Pepe memes represent, of you're always gonna be alone, you're never gonna have a future, and you're never gonna have a voice.
You're never gonna have a voice. Unless You join ICE, where your boss is a guy in a white suit with an eagle for a head. You keep asking him how you're gonna make children look like terrorists, and he just keeps screeching in response. It's a great working relationship. That description of being more alienated than politically motivated also seems to describe the recent ICE detention facility shooter in Dallas, who killed 2 detained men, neither of whom had criminal records, and neither of whom should have been detained in the first place. According to his friends who spoke with journalist Ken Klippenstein, the shooter was an online edgelord. He was most certainly an edgelord, an irony guy, one friend said. Irony guy, where have I heard that before?
I'm an irony bro.
Oh, right. One friend said he stopped talking to him when he took his 4chan irony stuff into daily interactions. He was becoming unbearable. Once he dropped out of college, he had no obligation to be social, and none of us reached out due to his edgelord behavior. Yeah, usually when you start sending noose memes to the group chat, your friends probably won't hit you up to go bowling. But it's this very irony-pilled edgelord that this regime's campaigns and propaganda machine have targeted to come into its ranks. They, like white nationalists, prey on real feelings of hopelessness, disenchantment with the two-party system to the point of throwing down with a dumbass strongman just to shake things up. The very election of Donald Trump was arguably the most cynical and nihilistic thing our country has ever done, next to the cinnamon challenge, of course. Why? All of this makes it so rich that Trump's FBI, under a guy who is definitely not being honey-trapped by his girlfriend, claimed that they're taking nihilistic violent extremism seriously. Look, I'm not saying nihilistic violent extremism isn't a threat, which again, these ideologically scattered, Joker-like acts of violence are, but the fact that Trump's FBI will take it seriously is giving big OJ gonna find the real killer vibes.
The simple answer, in my opinion, is social media is wildly out of control, and there's too much clickbait in this country. And one of the things I highlighted at Congress in my testimony last week was, if we want to protect our youth, we got to get more involved in social media and online platforms, because that's where the folks, the assassins of this world, get radicalized. That's where they're the lone wolf actors in general. And so we have to get after that problem set, and I ask for Congress to help in doing so.
And because this is a video about memes, let's just answer that with this one. We're all trying to find the guy who radicalized young people online. We know the FBI doesn't care about nihilistic extremists. Instead, they're busy hunting activists, trans people, and this frog. That frog f***s. The cruelty of this administration and its sociopathic lack of empathy towards the families that ICE is destroying, and the glee with which they celebrate any outrage, is truly reminiscent of the kind of brain rot we've seen in mass shooters. Their propaganda has mass shooter energy. And that makes sense, since MAGA has capitalized on the very dark-humored online alienation of Americans to get itself into power. We don't yet know who the specific people are behind DHS or the White House's Twitter accounts, but in a way, it doesn't matter, because it really could be any random 17-year-old who's angry at the world and doesn't think he's ever gonna f*** like that frog. And though at the moment, the AI seems to be over the top and obviously fake, as the technology advances and the regime's minimal scruples fall away, we all know Trump will only keep using AI in more and more deceptive ways. And I don't know the way out of all this, but it's important to name it. If only we had a government that actually took online hate seriously instead of stoked it. If only we had someone to save us, a hero of sorts. Someone like... Gracias, Super Bigote! Thank you so much for watching the Bitchuation Room's deep dives. If you want to support this show and also get the perk of watching my thoughts on the video that you just watched and the process of putting it together and why I chose it and some things that didn't make it into the script, become a patron, patreon.com/bitchuationroom, or a paid member on YouTube, or a paid member on Substack, frannyfio.substack.com. Thank you so much for your support. It's literally you that funds this show and my ability to do this work. And I'll see you next time.